Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. Today Microsoft held a podcast about Microsoft Gaming with the leadership team. Phil Spencer, the CEO, was the main person talking. Sarah Boyd, Matt Booty also in attendance. And they talked about the future of Xbox, the future of Microsoft Studios, the future of Activision Blizzard. Well, let's take a little look at what they talked about when it comes to Activision Blizzard in particular. And the main thing they talked about was Game Pass. And Activision Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass, starting with Diablo IV, which will arrive on March 28th. So Diablo 4 is at a discount being sold right now, but if you are a Game Pass subscriber, then you might not want to buy it at a discount, because on March 28th it's going to come to Game Pass. And other Activision Blizzard titles should follow, because all of the leaders of Microsoft Game made a big deal about how all of their games are on Game Pass, and all of their first-party games will launch on Game Pass on day one. Well, I mean, yeah, day one depends on what is your definition of day one, of course. Starfield, for example, would like to have a word, 5 days of early access, so people were able to start playing Starfield on day -5, and then on Game Pass they were able to play from day one. So yeah, that's also sort of how it works. This kind of podcast, it's a lot of bravado, it's a lot of like posing that you were doing really well. But if you try to dig a little bit deeper into what they're saying, you might be able to actually extract some actual information. Anyway, Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass. Large number of Activision Blizzard games are going to come to Game Pass. What exactly that's going to mean? Well, we don't know all of that yet. Anyway, they also talked about Game Pass, how these games are now going to be enjoyed by 34 million Game Pass subscribers. And that's actually pretty significant, like it was just said offhand there, but 34 million Game Pass subscribers, because Microsoft has not released Game Pass numbers since January 2022, and back then there were 25 million Game Pass subscribers. So that is growth of 36%. However, this growth rate is nowhere near the growth rate they wanted. They wanted growth rate of around 70% annually. Yeah, that's not it. With eventually reaching 100 million subscribers by 2030. Obviously, 70% annually all the way to 2030 would be something completely different. Let's say 36% every 2 years up to 2030. That would mean something like 85 million subscribers by 2030, so far short of the 100 million goal. So Game Pass is growing, and some people might say that it's growing quite well, but it is far away from Microsoft's targets for Game Pass growth. And then there's also that part about all games coming to Game Pass. Are all games actually coming to Game Pass? This particular slide is from the materials of the court case about the acquisition. And in this one, for example, Game Pass was listed as one of the things that they are going to do with Activision Blizzard. Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, Diablo, Guitar Hero, Overwatch, Spyro, StarCraft, World of Warcraft, whatever that means, that's going to be interesting. But for example, games like all the mobile games, including Warcraft Rumble, of course, and Hearthstone would not be included in this Game Pass thing because, I don't know, do they even qualify as games, or are they just like ways to make money? Mobile people, extra money? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, all games should be coming to Game Pass. All of their first-party games should come to Game Pass on day one. These are the promises that they are making. But then their definition of what day one means, and their definition of what a game means, those can be surprising from a certain point of view. They also briefly discussed the layoffs. They said that the gaming industry is not growing, and then layoffs have to happen. Microsoft is not immune. They had to make their own hard decisions. They also had to lay off people. And in the next sentence after this, they started telling how Microsoft has the highest level of users on console, highest level of users on PC, highest level of users on cloud ever, and they're experiencing double-digit growth on PC and cloud. Yeah, it's sometimes hard to like say about what has happened and then also try to be real, like, hey, we're the best and everything is always the greatest. Anyway, if we look at the earnings call that happened a couple of weeks ago, the earnings call predicted slight growth in Activision Blizzard King over the next quarter and slight decline elsewhere in Microsoft Gaming for the next quarter. So yeah, these layoffs. Activision Blizzard King had a splendid quarter under Microsoft, their best quarter ever. Activision Blizzard King is also predicted to keep growing, not very much, but to keep growing in revenue. So, well, it is what it is. You say one thing and something else happens. What can I say? Anyway, other Microsoft gaming departments seem to be in slight decline. They also talked about how there are two ways to keep growing. You either monetize your existing players more, or you get new players, and you have to keep growing. You always have to keep growing. Growth is super important. And Phil Spencer said that the Xbox strategy for the past decade has focused on getting more players. What's more interesting is that he said it like this, that the Xbox strategy for the past decade has focused on this. But he didn't say what the Xbox strategy for the next decade is going to focus on, or even for the next year, or even for the next quarter. So there are two ways. Either you monetize your products more, or you get new players. And previously, Xbox tried to get new players. Is this like the unsaid thing is that from here on out, we're going to focus on monetizing? I don't know. When you really try to listen to what they say, and they seemingly contradict themselves in every sentence, then it's kind of hard. You become a little bit skeptical on what do they actually mean. Anyway, more news should come in June. There's going to be a new showcase about what's happening with Xbox, what's going to happen. Xbox in this context refers to whole Microsoft gaming department. So all of this, everything that's gaming at Microsoft, it's all Xbox anyway. The one thing that we got out of this was that Diablo IV is coming to Game Pass. All Activision Blizzard games, whatever happens to meet their definition of a game, are coming to Game Pass, and we're going to learn more later on. It was a philosophical puzzle to watch. And more news, more philosophical puzzles coming in June. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.